It's changed our DNA and our brains. We can never go backwards from Instagram.
What do you think is the thing that most people get wrong with social media?
Throw everything at the wall that you can and see what sticks. Then whatever sticks, double down. That's the only strategy that works.
Why do you think people follow that?
I know exactly who my follower is.
What are your thoughts on the Instagram algorithm and then the TikTok algorithm?
I think a lot of people want to blame the algorithm.
How does someone know what content to actually put out? Where does someone start?
They want you to replicate the same video only.
Twitter, let's talk about it.
I honestly feel like it's the cesspit. TikTok is now starting to get a really bad reputation for being like a hate-based algorithm.
Why go into social media?
Sometimes I do look back and I'm like, Erim, what did you do? Like, why did you make yourself this person? I would never let my child go on social media.
Does pose a question, like a devil's advocate question, which is...
Let me correct my statement.
I've never heard anyone say anything like that before. Hey guys, we're about to sit down with Erim, a social media influencer who's acquired hundreds of thousands of followers. She's built her own haircare brand and she's going to tell you exactly how she did it. Before she does, I'd just like to ask, if you can, please do consider subscribing because it helps us get better guests. People won't come on if they think we've got a small audience. So the more you subscribe, the better guests we get, and we'll find out exactly how all of them did it. Enjoy the episode. So to your journey, you are a big social media influencer. How does that happen?
I was part of the Sikh Society when I was at uni. And that was kind of like the center of all like cultural kind of collaborations within the South Asian community. So I had quite a few followers when I was at uni, I think because of that. So I had a couple thousand. Then when I graduated, I wore a traditional Punjabi outfit. And it's so funny, I graduated with quite a few Sikhs on my course because it was a really big course. I did business, 400 people were on it.
Right.
I thought someone was going to come in traditional wear. I thought it was like the thing that we were all doing.
Yeah.
And I turned up and no one did that.
Oh, wow.
So I just really stood out.
Okay.
So a lot of I think the photo of me went viral on Twitter, and that was the first time I had like a huge surge of people following me.
Okay.
Right.
I think I graduated with around like 5k, and then because
This was on Instagram, I'm guessing.
I think
or was it-
Instagram, yeah, but I had a lot of followers on Twitter for some reason. Graduated, started to see that there was a lot of girls who were similar to me in the sense that they'd grown up without a mum, and not necessarily that she'd passed away. It could be that the mum didn't speak English or the mum was significantly older, that type of ilk of people. And because that has always been my mission statement, to be that role model for girls who were lacking that when they were younger, I think like attracts like. I don't know if you guys believe in attraction and stuff.
100%.
It snowballed. And I was just like very greedy. I was like, oh my God, this one likes me. Okay, I'm going to keep posting because then that means I get to meet more girls that like get it, what it feels like to be like kind of a bit left out. And then it just really started to grow from there. But I think it was, especially when it came to TikTok, it was definitely like first mover advantage. I was one of like the first UK brown girls that was like regularly posting. So
When did you go on it?
TikTok, I was December 2019.
Okay,
Yeah.
right at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Just for clarity, for anyone that might not know, what was the situation with your mum?
So she passed away from cancer when I was 8 years old. Yeah, but I didn't have any sisters. My dad didn't have any sisters, and I had like no cousins that lived near me.
Right.
So it was a bit of a struggle. I was very blessed I had my grandma. But of course, you guys can imagine, like, my grandma wasn't speaking English. She was born in a different country, and she was like older. So it was kind of hard for me to relate to her on the day-to-day struggles that like a 10-year-old would go through.
And so you've built a little bit of an audience. You sort of find this community of the type of people that are resonating with your content. How do you know what sort of content to post? So you said you're posting on TikTok quite consistently. How do you know what to post?
My strategy for it is this. I think a lot of small business owners and people that want to become influencers, they sit there, they overthink, they're like, oh my God, but this isn't perfect, but the edit, I don't know, the audio, is that the right hashtag? The way I see it is like, throw everything at the wall that you can and see what sticks. Then whatever sticks, double down. So I was quite vocal at the beginning about not wanting to use like filters, not editing my photos, showing the kind of like cheeky behind the scenes, which is kind of the norm now. But back in the day, it wasn't. Do you guys remember Instagram was very curated?
Yeah.
Very filtered.
It was very like, it was all about the grid.
It was all about the grid with the white lines.
Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah.
I had a theme where every third post was a quote.
Okay.
So it like ran through. And
I've seen that.
And people would post a picture in like chunks. So
Yes.
you'd have like the corner of one and it would be awful because you'd look at the grid and it'd be
You'd
like,
have
oh, that's
one
cool.
foot and it's just like...
And it's just a foot, like a corner of a head in one
remember
picture,
that.
and it's just got 4 likes on it, and it's just
Yes.
a random corner.
Yeah. All about the grid.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of like burst out of that bubble a little bit. I wasn't about the aesthetics. I've never been that. I'm not a very visual person. So because I was doing it a bit differently, I think it started to gain more and more momentum, but I was just guessing. And I think I was just one of the few people that had the guts to try. And to this day I try. Like we just went to an influencer event and people were like, oh, what do you do? Are you lifestyle? Are you fashion? Are you beauty? And I was like, I don't really know how to describe what I post, because I post something different every day. But I think the one consistent thing that I do is show my personality on my face. And I think that itself, as human beings, we're 4D. We're not just into food. If you're a food reviewer, you also go to the gym, you also go shopping. So I like to make Erim the kind of brand that I work with. And
yeah.
Do you think that strategy still works in today's age, given how kind of oversaturated the market is?
Yeah, I think that's the only strategy that works. Like, you need to lead with personal brands. And I think nowadays it's so important for people to have that very strong point of view, very strong tone of voice, very easily recognizable almost format to some extent. I could do a food review at the same time as doing a makeup review, and you would know it's Erim's content because of the way that it was done, but the subjects are different.
Okay, so in terms of like the growth, so you're posting on TikTok, you're noticing kind of decent growth on there. What's happening on Instagram? Are you repurposing the content from your TikTok immediately onto your Instagram, or is it like you're being just kind of discretionary about it?
Yeah, like if you want to see my cute, funny videos, like Instagram, you more so do get like the pretty aesthetic side of things. And then TikTok, you kind of just get the throwaway content that randomly goes viral. If you want to see that side of me, you got to go to my TikTok. But sometimes it's a piece of content that's so good, and it's like a trending audio that's working on Instagram, even though Instagram is always like 3 weeks behind every trending audio, would you say?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I will sometimes like give them a bit of a taste of it. But most people are probably following off both platforms now, I think.
So in addition to consistency then, what else are you doing that allows your content to actually scale?
I'm very into strategically looking at Instagram. I work professionally in social media prior to becoming an influencer. So I get how the algorithm works. I get how it's important to make sure that you're including the meta tags and the meta description and the correct keywords in your caption. And I think the one piece of advice I would give is I often see people use a bunch of different words from a different lexis. That means group of words in a caption. So they'll be like, I was in a Range Rover and I was wearing a Rolex because I love watches of Switzerland, but then this is a Overfinch Vogue. And the Instagram algorithm, it doesn't know where to place you. Do we give you to the car guys, or do we give you?
Guys.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I always use one
Interesting
verbiage.
I think that's because I also do some sort of social media stuff for people. But what's interesting, I'd never known about meta tags in captions. I'd never known about
See
that.
the structure that I do it, because it's like I'll put the brackets of the keywords, which are the generic terms. So it would be like, say I'm doing a Range Rover one, like I do Range Rover, Land Rover, car, SUV.
Okay.
And then in the hashtags, it will be the community hashtag. So it will be Range Rovers of London, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Like Overfinch UK.
Yeah.
Those really community hashtag that the car guys all follow, like petrol heads, they all follow.
Yeah.
If I was a car influencer.
Okay.
Yeah, because on hashtags, I wanted to ask you about that, because obviously there's the whole thing of you can have up to 30, but then you have the risk of being the post that has like the 30 hashtags
And
beneath
you look
it.
like a weirdo.
And you look like a weirdo.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing of, well, you can put like 5 dots to separate lines so that, it's out the way,
It's
or
trying
you can
too
post
hard.
it. Yeah, or you can post it in the first comment.
Yeah.
And then it's like, on the one hand, people are like, well, they really do help you with your exposure and your growth, but on the other hand, it's like it doesn't look great for the brand image. It looks really beggy.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on hashtags
I like up to 5.
for Instagram?
I think it's like important to recognize that you don't want to come across. I mean, you can. Someone's going to say something about the fact that I'm saying this, but like it just looks a bit beggy having like 30 in there.
It does. I mean, because it's the whole laddering thing. If you have like 3 or 4 broad ones, you have slightly bigger niche ones, and then drill down to the kind of smaller.
Yeah.
So would you say if you do 5, you would do 5 kind of community small ones?
Yes.
All 5 would be small?
Yes, I would say like 100K max.
Interesting.
If you can find them. Sometimes you have to guess. Like say, again, I'm going to use a Range Rover example. Like I can type in Range Rover and then I'll see the suggestions that it comes up with.
Okay.
And then I'm going to click on the ones that have like a good enough following and usage.
Okay, so comparing that to TikTok, because my strategy with TikTok is, and I'm completely open to changing it, at the moment, from what I've heard from other people who have got much more success on it than me, is to have 5 hashtags, sort of 3 niche, and then 2 kind of FYP trending kind of things, just to kind of give it that bolster. What do you think?
I think that works. I think TikTok is probably needing a bit more context because it's obviously only video that you get on there.
They've moved to text now. They've introduced a text feature, haven't they?
Yes,
as well.
on the videos.
Yeah,
for sure. And they're reading that as well. So you want your text that you put on the screen to have the keywords that you're talking about as well.
Right.
It does make it seem a bit dry though. So I know. But the thing is with TikTok, honestly, it's random. Like it is just.
I do feel like that with TikTok. There isn't really much sense behind the algorithm.
But it's kind of like what you said. It's just throwing as much stuff at the wall and seeing what
100%.
sticks.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
I posted a video. I was like in the sea in Dubai. I was wearing a dress and I was like posing, and
I
then
saw that. Is this the one where you said that you had a really awkward moment where everyone else was basically saying stuff to you?
Yeah, they were kind of like, there was like girls in the background, they were kind of laughing at me, and I thought, come on, this is Dubai, like every influencer.
This is nothing new.
Everyone here.
Also, I wasn't like in the way, like I'm very like shy taking photos. I hate doing it generally, but especially in public, I'm like, oh, just get the photo and be done, please. One take wonder. And I was like, oh, I'm really not getting in the way of you guys, but you could visibly see me shrink and my confidence just got knocked. And only when I was going through the content afterwards, I was like, maybe I should share this. I literally shared it with a typo in the text, but it got 17 million views. You know, so you just if I knew it was going to get 17 million views, I would have probably picked a nicer cover photo. I would have, you know, spell checked and stuff like that.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying the episode so far, please consider hitting the like button. It really helps us out when it comes to growth, and it will tell YouTube that we should make more content like this.
But with that kind of personality, then, I mean, why go into social media and build that following?
You don't know. Like back in the day, when did I graduate? 2017. Like, we didn't know what social media was going to become. I was just like liking the fact that I was like connecting with girls, and I like enjoy taking photos and wearing new outfits, and I just didn't know. And sometimes I do look back and I'm like, Erim, what did you do? Like, why did you make yourself this person that, you know, everyone can have an opinion about? Because I chose to post. But like, it's not like when you sign up for a job at Deloitte, you kind of know that you're going to work up the career ladder if you're going to go down that route. With Instagram, you put your first post up, you don't know that you're going to end up in C-suite or whatever, I don't know, corporate things. It's just like a guess, and then you just keep going.
I'm curious to actually ask you about stories for Instagram as well. What are your thoughts on optimizing for Instagram stories? You can have a hashtag in there, you can have a location, a link, all that kind of thing.
I think what a really important strategy is instead of focusing outside of your followers, focus on your followers and let them share you via word of mouth. I think this constant need to focus on people who aren't following us alienates our existing followers. Because if you're constantly hashtagging today, your followers are like, okay, we're following you. Where's the value in us following you? Because all you're doing is just begging it from new followers. I think with the reels and stuff, that's a cool way to go and get new followers. But with your stories, that is your one-to-one. And that's where I'm really myself with my audience. Like, honestly, like if you're with me during the day, like you'll see I take one photo of something. It can be an ugly, vague, blurry, messy photo, but I'll upload it to my story with a narrative. And I think the way I can strategize how to do stories. And I think go about your day, take photos of everything. And then when you go home, collate it into a narrative, because people want stories. People follow stories. And give it your spin. Make sure there's a beginning, middle, and end. So every morning I say Waheguru. That's not for strategy. That's to kind of remind people to wake up, whether it's Alhamdulillah or, you know, an affirmation that you want to say. That's how we begin our morning in my community. Then we go into my breakfast. We're going to talk about this, that, and then we're going to end the night. All right, love you guys. Good night. Sweet dreams. Chat to you in the morning if I feel like doing that. Sometimes I don't.
That's amazing. I've spent so many hours in the social media marketing like side of the internet. And I've never heard anyone say anything like that before.
Okay.
That's so...
you seem shocked
by that reaction.
No, seriously. I think there's always a thing where, you know, there is always... Because I've spoken to influencers before, and there is always a thing of like, it's a little bit of luck here and there, of course. And there's also an element of like, you know, they don't necessarily always know how they did it. They were being consistent. Maybe there was a post that went viral and that gave them a big boost, etc. But that was that was so valuable what you just said, because I've never thought about it. But when you put it like that, it is so obvious. It's in the name, stories.
Yeah.
It's not just a thing of, because everyone thinks about how to optimize stories. Like, we need to make this particular story post that we do have the right text and the right this and the right that. But you're right. It's like a mini vlog. It's like a mini daily vlog.
That's it.
Damn, that's so crazy.
Do it, because you know what it is. Once you're halfway through the video, you're gonna watch the rest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, okay, did she make it? Was the meeting good? Did she get the deal? You know what I mean? And then every day it's a new story.
That's so interesting.
Why do you think people follow that and follow you?
People are obsessed with people, aren't they? Like when you're on the tube, you're either looking at your phone or you're looking at the people on the tube. I now know, because I've taken the tube now.
For the first time in 5 years.
Can I say what you said before
today?
Right before when Erim came in the room, she said, I just took the tube for the first time in 5 years. We were like, wow, I got to get on that page. I got to get how you're living. Okay, so stories, you'd say make it one big narrative, make it like a kind of mini vlog. What do you think about like hashtags in the stories?
I can't be asked. I think there's very little reward for doing that. And like, listen, if you're gonna like micro tag something, it just takes ages to like shrink it.
That's what. Yeah.
I would say though, on a strategic point, defo put stories, not stories, stickers. Keep it engaging, even if it's like a little poll where it's like something really unnecessary that you're gonna ask, but like people, it kind of keeps their attention. It's like, you know, when you're in a lecture and the teacher goes, And what did I just say? You're like, it keeps that kind of like focus.
So what were the other turning points then in terms of growing your following?
It was never like this.
Yeah.
It was always like this, and to this day it's always been like this. Like, I'm very much someone that like will go on Social Blade, I'll check how am I doing, how are people in
What was that? Sorry?
She said Social Blade. Can
Social
you just
Blade.
explain to people what Social Blade is?
So it shows your daily follower growth or decline.
Yeah.
It's like a social media analytics platform. Very useful, worth checking out. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to remember, like, because Instagram doesn't show you like historical data besides a graph, which is kind of hard to like visually see. Okay, it was 4 on that Monday, but then it was like 20 the next Monday, and then it was 400. That just kind of shows you in like a thing. Also shows you when people are buying followers as well. So brands need to jump on this.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
very true.
No, definitely.
It's so true. And even then, the buying followers stage. I mean, you'll see. There's someone in particular that I know whose follower count is absolutely disgusting. And you would think he's world famous because it's like millions of followers. And then when you could buy the verified tick as well. And
it's called Blue Ick now. It's not called
Blue
Tick.
I like that.
I did a video about
I
it.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's actually a good question though. So obviously you used to have to get verified just because you would get,
press and stuff,
whatever. Now obviously anyone can buy a blue tick. Would you get one if you're an account coming up now?
I honestly think, like, you know how Gen Z is very different to millennials? Like, millennials is very like
prestige and,
I think the cooler thing now is to not have a blue tick unless you had it before.
Yeah.
I get why people do it. Like, one of my friends, she's an influencer, and she was asking me as well, like, Erim, should I get it? I was offered it. And I was like, I think it just looks like it's not reading well if you're an influencer. If you're a brand, I think it's different. I'm not going to offend anyone, but like, there's a lot of people that woke up and they were like, oh my God, Instagram just gave me a blue tick. And they're making out that they earned it. And I was like, listen, if you bought it, say that. Don't deceive your followers, because we can obviously see that your full name is in the name of your profile. You click on their account and it says verified in May. Anyone that's verified in May, like...
Oh, you can see that?
When,
Okay.
Interesting.
Just be honest.
I think also you made a really interesting point there about Gen Z, which is that it is cool to kind of not give a fuck and to be, and it's like that whole thing if they'll put like their feed,
the blurry photo, and they'll delete it 2 days after.
I knew you were gonna know it. It's exactly what I mean. That's the most Gen Z thing you can do. You have a feed with no pictures on it, and then it's like 3 photos, and it's like a blurry picture of you at a skate park or something.
So when did you start your haircare brand then?
December 2019 as well.
December 2019.
TikTok.
Yeah, that was a busy month for you, right? Okay.
I hit 10K the day on TikTok in my first week, and then I launched when I hit 10K. It was really random.
Okay.
Right, okay.
What made you want to start that brand?
I remember working and my boss was like, Erim, you can't just do this whole like posting cute photos on Instagram thing forever. Instagram's gonna die. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When people used to say that all the time, and I was like, it's not. It's changed our DNA and our brains. We can never go backwards from Instagram. And she scared me. So I was like, okay, cool, what can I offer? And I think one of the most beautiful things about ByErim is the fact that it naturally came about, because I always knew I wanted to create something that young girls who might not have had a mom who wouldn't naturally have access to this product, they now have it. They don't have to sit at home, mix all the oils. I don't want to leave it in their hands that they have to have the knowledge that my grandma had to mix all the oils and to put it into the microwave and burn their fingers and sloppily put it on. No, like, I struggled with that. I was lucky to have my grandma. I want to make sure that we have a bottle that just in your own hands you can do it, and you don't even need to worry. You don't need to feel left out from this like ancient tradition of oiling your hair. So I always knew it was going to be an oil. I always knew it was going to be called ByErim. I always knew the formula. I always knew what the color of the bottle would be, what the logo would look like. And it just kind of, the ideation was there. The action was hard because I started in January 2019. So it took me basically a year to get the bottle into my hands.
Okay.
But it wasn't perfect. I had a private group on Facebook with my closest like followers. I think there was like 3,000 in there. And I soft launched in there, which a lot of people don't know. And they were very kind to me. They were the ones that told me there's a typo there. Erim, this link doesn't work. And I definitely would recommend that. And even if you don't have like a fan base, ask your friends and family, do a soft launch there, make a group chat or something where he can give you really honest feedback. I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs probably struggle with, because there's a lot of like ego attachment. Like, this is your logo. Like, you guys, if you get feedback, I'm sure you guys are like evolved enough not to, but you're going to be like, no, that's my baby. This room right here, this podcast, this is my baby. And a lot of people have their ego in their products, but I think I've always been like a very detached person. So when people give me feedback, I was just like, done, fixed, next, tell me, what do we do? And then when it came to launching, I was good. There was no typos.
Yeah. Interesting. I feel like a lot of people don't listen to their customers enough when they launch a product. As you say, they follow their ego and they just jump straight in, assuming there's going to be a kind of a product.
But you create things
fit.
in a bubble.
Yeah.
And I say this to my marketing team all the time. Like, we sit there and we think that this strategy works really well and this post really conveys where we're going to be, but we don't even need to read it and we know what it's saying. Whereas a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, what are they saying here? Like, there's no context to it. So taking yourself out of that bubble and looking at it with raw eyes, or asking someone with raw eyes.
I'm really keen to circle back to the social media side of things, because I think that's the thing that people will get the most value from. And I'm curious, what do you think is your opinion on kind of, obviously the platforms are always changing, the algorithms are always changing. What are your thoughts on the Instagram algorithm and then the TikTok algorithm?
I think it makes sense. I think a lot of people want to blame the algorithm as if there's this one big ghost that hates them. But I think if you know how the algorithm works, you can play it to its own game. But that means you have to put in the effort to understand, follow Instagram, see their live, see their creator page, and understand how it's ranking, and use it to manipulate the way that you're posting, as I described earlier, like speaking in your caption with all one particular Lexus. If something works, quickly replicate that. Like, I remember that video I posted where I was like in the sea, next day, because I was getting so, I think maybe 3 days later, I like filmed another video of me in the sea, really confident, because everyone was like, oh sis, you're beautiful, like don't let them knock you down. So I was like, we're getting in that sea again. And I was like being all like confident and splashing around and stuff like that. Was that comfortable? Not particularly, but was I happy? Yeah. So I think knowing what works, doubling down, being reactive. If there's a trend that you know you've got a good angle on, like don't overthink it. Pick up the camera when you're sat there on the sofa, on your bed. Like, we see the videos that are on our For You pages. They are not masterpieces. They're just really funny.
Yeah, I think that's something that so many, I've been guilty of this a million times. I think so many people struggle with that, which is, well, I'm going to order this light first and let me just like, and then you'll be like, it's not perfect because if I put it out, that video won't do well because it just doesn't look good at the quality. And then you'll see a video on your like TikTok that has like 4 million views and it's like a guy on his couch like this and he's like, you know what I was thinking, guys? I was thinking about, and you're like, how is that popping off? But so you just have to like play the game, don't resist it, just play the game.
100%. Yeah, just be brave.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on captions on TikTok? Because I was having this debate with someone the other day, because obviously Instagram long form captions do really well. They're really personal, really engaging. You can connect with your audience, etc., and use all the meta tags. TikTok, because of the nature of the full screen being video, there's only kind of half a line you see.
That's what I was going to say. And you know, when you expand it, it's just a bit like disorienting having the video in the background. Like, I don't do it. I don't know too much about whether the captions are going to be working, because you know, like, what does hashtag FYP do if 1 million people are using hashtag FYP every 5 minutes, you know? I think almost because it's a video, majority of it is video on TikTok, the video can kind of give a lot more context to something. I often use the caption as like a defense against the first nasty comment that I'll get. So if it's like basically to demonstrate self-awareness, because the thing that go viral on TikTok are going to be the weird things. So like, say if it was that beach video and I knew it was going to go viral, I would caption it something like, still got the shot though, follow my page to see and I'm sure I did change it to that because you can now edit. But yeah, I think a lot of the time people go viral because they're coming across as like delulu, bit delusional. So I think
delulu, I've never heard that.
Have you not heard
I
it?
haven't heard that either.
Okay, search hashtag delulu. It probably has like millions of hits on TikTok.
Oh, really?
Use it.
Okay, yeah, why not? Okay,
and it's what people, I'm going to look at it. So it's people who are deluded.
Yeah, you say, oh, it's giving delulu.
Oh yeah,
it's
giving. Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's going to be a comment on this video being like, she's giving delulu.
How does someone know what kind of content to actually put out?
I think we like to romanticize the idea that we're all super unique and like so quirky and different. But reality is, if you're into a video, a few other people are going to be into that video. And if you're into it, it's going to be easier for you to kind of like put your own spin on it. So collate a few different videos of things that you are interested in that caught your attention, be it the thing at the beginning or the audio or the way that it was filmed or the camera or whatever it might be. Save those. Have about like 4 to 5 different genres of video. So like, if you're interested in the styling one and they've done it on crossing the street, and then they've done one transition video in front of a wardrobe basically at home, save 5 of those, try all 5, and then go from there to see what really works. The problem is nowadays with the Instagram algorithm, they really want you to niche down. And when I say niche down, they want you to replicate the same video only. If it's not the exact same video, almost down to the location of the street that you're walking across, the moment that the audio hits, that you do the slow-mo, everything the same. So once you found something that you like, be prepared to make that your thing. now is no longer the time where I think you can establish a brand being like a 360 kind of person, the way that I've done it.
Yeah. Okay.
So on that, I made a note as well. I'm curious to know, I know we touched on it earlier with hashtags and we kind of covered Instagram's hashtags. What you just said about the FYP thing on TikTok, I find that interesting. I'd like to go into that a little bit if you can, in terms of like hashtags on TikTok. Because again, I've heard the strategy of use a couple abroad, and I've seen big pages that I know are managed by professionals and they will always have like FYP or something in there, and then they'll have niche specific. What are your thoughts on how do you do your hashtags on TikTok?
I think only if you get TikTok lingo, like if you know, like we know what FYP is, but if we walk outside, a lot of people won't. So I think that almost solely acts as an indicator to TikTok that you get TikTok. I think that's potentially why.
That's so interesting.
Because you're using the in language. Do you know what I mean? Like if you use the word hashtag delusional versus hashtag Delulu, you're going to get more views on Delulu because it's showing that you're like a user of TikTok. I don't know more about the caption thing though.
Yeah.
I think you know more than me.
I doubt that, but that's very kind of you to even remotely assume that. Location on TikTok. Some people say don't use one. Some people say use one that's relative to that audience. Do you use locations?
Okay, location is dependent upon where the video is filmed and the metadata from that video, where you are posting from and where you are tagging. TikTok location data is poor. Like it is, like when I'm in Dubai, I particularly tend to tag my location, but it's like, have you tried? No. It's the weirdest thing. Like they have like 1 or 2 options for locations in the whole of Dubai.
Really?
It's really weird. Yeah. Right. I don't know why they're not
I
connected.
find that crazy, especially given how many people are out there actually taking selfies and doing
Yeah.
this
In
kind of
Dubai.
stuff. Yeah,
It's weird. Even in London, like you're not going to find like exactly the place where you would in Instagram. I think maybe Instagram's linked to Google. I have no idea. So yeah, it has to all synchronize. So where you film the video and the data from your iPhone, you know, when it shows you all those numbers and stuff, where you're posting from and where you're tagging all need to be the same. If that's not the case, do not bother with locations because it's going to flag and it's going to be like, okay, you film that there, but you're posting it there. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to deceive followers for? That's my personal understanding.
Wait, that's so hang on. So if I let's say I'm on holiday in like Mallorca next week, for example, I'm not, but let's say I am, and I film a video in Mallorca and I come home and I post it from my couch in London, TikTok can know that I filmed that video in Mallorca.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the metadata in there. No, even this, if it's an old video on my camera roll and I upload it, it will know it's an old video. I have to like duplicate that or screenshot that image so it's a fresh image.
In your camera roll, yeah. Because you can't post old stuff?
It just doesn't perform well.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, TikTok wants that freshness and they want you to film in TikTok as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes I find like, sometimes I'll scroll through my For You page and I'll see like a trending audio that's really easy for me to just like film from my sofa and I'll like put a funny caption on top. My eye's funny, probably no one else thinks it's funny, but then I'll upload it, and when it's like film straight to post, I think TikTok likes it. I'm speaking as if TikTok's like an anonymous ex-boyfriend that you don't know what they like and what they don't like, but I think that's what works for me.
Because they want you to kind of do it. It's like we're using the app in real time and
that's
that
it.
kind of thing.
That's it.
I heard from someone the other day, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm curious if you can shed some light on it, but someone said to me that so TikTok owns CapCut.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And so apparently people have speculated that videos that are uploaded from CapCut directly perform better. And so what someone I know on another team has been doing is he's basically been like making the content and then putting it into CapCut, putting nothing on it, and then just uploading it from CapCut to see if that affects performance. But he hasn't been doing it for long enough to give me like any data points on it. But I'm curious to know. So that's something new.
It definitely makes sense. Like CapCut videos edited videos are slightly more engaging, especially if it's like longer than 10 seconds. So I understand why they would probably boost that because I use a different app. I use Splice.
Okay.
I've been using it for years and I see it gives you the option, you know, when you've saved the video, do you want to upload
to TikTok?
Yeah, I never do that. I like save it into my camera, then I post it.
Okay. Why?
Because I know that TikTok isn't affiliated with Splice.
Okay.
But I didn't know CapCut is owned by TikTok. I'm gonna edit myself in TikTok at CapCut.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you give any resources to people who are listening as to where to go to actually teach themselves about all this?
I would definitely say follow creators on Instagram. I think they are the first to share. Like, you know, when Threads came out and they put the number, it was like your prison number on your profile, right?
Yeah.
I was like 17 minutes after the creators thing, uploaded it and I downloaded Threads and I have like a really low number. I think you get rewarded by being one of the first people to do something, especially when it comes to new features on Instagram, and Threads is Instagram. So you follow creators, they tend to be the first people to let you know if you're doing something. I think there's a lot of these weirdo videos on TikTok, like how to hack the algorithm, how to grow 10k followers.
Of course there is.
I don't know. I don't even watch those. I think you need to start focusing on your existing followers, like what's working for them, because then it will get shown to similar audiences. So if you know, tried and tested, like I have majority British Asians that follow me, so I'll do videos about like Punjabi jokes or whatever, because I know that it works for them. And if it works for them, that Instagram is gonna, or TikTok is gonna seed it out to similar audiences.
I feel like Instagram's losing that organic. You know, you don't get the organic reach on Instagram, really. That you, maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but I don't think you get the same reach that you get on TikTok, obviously.
I agree.
But then Instagram is the more aesthetic platform. Where do you see those two platforms going?
Listen, people are using social media. We're used to that dopamine rush where we get from like, be it a like or a comment or something. Instagram hasn't enabled us to get that in the same way that people were used to. Those who are watching their individual likes, you're not getting that dopamine rush, but you probably are going to get that in a platform like TikTok. However, I think TikTok is now starting to get a really bad reputation for being like a hate-based algorithm. There's an influencer in America called Nikita Dragon. Do you know her?
No, I don't.
Trans woman.
Okay.
She's really cool.
Yeah.
She made like a video like
Nikita
just
Dragon,
yeah, strutting, blah blah blah. That was her first TikTok that she posted, but she was wearing like revealing clothing, and that's what she's known for, and she's very extra when she poses, and that video went viral within the Deep South. But it went hate viral. And that was her first exposure to TikTok, and she just got completely obliterated. And it's like, if it works with one person, even if it's a hate view or a hate comment, which is what people are more likely to do. I always say like this, the broken wheel squeaks the loudest. It's the person that's angry that's going to comment. I think us lot, probably when we're on TikTok, we might drop a heart, we might drop a love this, but most of the time we're scrolling and you're just putting your phone down and getting on with your job or your life. But there's a lot of people that just like hate watch things.
But I was saying this to him the other day, I just don't understand people like that who take time out of their day to start kind of throwing shade on people for
we noticed. Like
never seen it. I saw the comment on our video.
We had this was like the funniest thing to me. So we interviewed we sat down with a hedge fund manager, a guy called Alpesh Patel, incredibly smart guy, very very successful, like been on Bloomberg, everywhere, Financial Times. He's an established guy in the field. And he runs a hedge fund, and by his own admission, he was like, it's a very small hedge fund. And on the show, we were like, oh, how big's the hedge fund? And he was like, it's honestly a really small fund. It's not like, I'm not like a giant fund manager. It's like 100 million euros. And he said that on the show. And someone commented being like, 100 million euros, that's a tiny hedge fund. That's not even, you can work 1 year in finance after uni and set up $100 million. And then I was so tempted to be like, sorry, remind me, what's the name of your hedge fund? What's the name of the hedge fund that you've got? Like,
hate people like that.
Who has that mentality? See, he's running $100 million hedge fund, and you're there being like, well, actually, that's not very big compared to other hedge funds. It's fascinating to me.
You know, you can hide certain words, hide the word actually. Because no one commenting the word actually is going to say anything good after it. Yeah,
that is true.
So true.
That is actually true.
Actually, she's not.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about like the privacy side of it. With a following as large as you've got, how do you maintain privacy in your life, and how do you balance that?
So this is something I've kind of got like a list of things. I go to schools and I speak about social media. By the way, you know, when I go to schools and I ask them how many of you want to be influencers, every single time minimum 60 to 70.
Yep.
Really? That and YouTubers, I feel like it's the number one thing now that people want to be. Yeah.
So,
before you move on, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
I would never let my child go on social media. It is not something. I think anyone who, if you're not making money on social media, don't be on social media.
Okay, so
that's a very good point. I completely agree.
I completely agree as well, but it does pose a question, like a devil's advocate question, which is, if you don't believe that social media is a good thing for people to be using, and the only people that should be using it are making money off it, then what about the people that watch your content? Because by definition, they're not making money off it, but they're watching you do the same thing, so you wouldn't have anyone to make content for.
You're right. Let me correct my statement. Don't post. You can silently you can sit there, you can be, you know, have like a little private account and listen, do what you want to do. Like, obviously I'm not saying you can't do it, but like, if I could choose what like my future daughter or son, I would have either no social media, and if they wanted to, a very private account on lock, maybe 100 followers, post a few things to friends and family. I'm going to approve everyone who follows you up to a certain age. Let them follow certain people. And again, my advice is very actually structured towards young people, because I speak to schools about this. I get a lot of like parents messaging me, how do I keep control of my son or daughter's thing? Because on TikTok, the feed page is wild. It's wild. You do not know what's coming up next. You're right. So in terms of practical things, I would definitely say hide certain words. We were just speaking about this. Hide your legal name, hide your partner's name, hide your street address. Because those things, someone can comment and you don't know how fast you're going to be to take that down. Let Instagram do the work for you. And I don't normally say that like I love Instagram and I think they're doing a great job at protecting our mental health. I think a lot of the decisions they make are for the consumer of content, not for the creators, but it's the creators that bring the consumers to the platform who then get shown ads, who then Instagram profits from. That aside, I think they do have some quite smart features. So hide those keywords, hide your number. You can put your number all in one, like 077 hide that. Hide names of people in your life. You get the gist. Then there are certain words that we were just discussing, the word actually, the word even well. You don't know whether that's going to be a good or bad one. It's better to be safe than sorry on an Instagram.
That's true.
You can have so many.
There aren't many people like commenting well done, for example, on a video. Let's be honest. It's like, well, is that actually correct? Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, that's a good word as well.
Yeah,
okay.
And you'll see it. Like if you get more and more comments, you'll see the tone, like fake, fakery, fakest, like skinny, fat, any word that like you think might trigger you, because what might trigger me might not trigger you. But like you don't know how someone's going to phrase it. You know, like, oh, you've lost weight. What if that was going to trigger me, that someone's talking about my weight? So I'll block the word weight, or gained it, or lost it, whatever it might be. The second thing I would say is heavily use the restrict feature. That means that people can comment, but no one else can see it besides them. They can DM you and that won't come through to your main DM, so you can see it without seeing it.
Interesting.
Also, set your comments on TikTok to approve or delete. So you can approve all the comments that you want. Otherwise, like the way the algorithm is, a negative comment will go up and like everyone will start to like it.
You can approve and delete each individual comment.
Yeah. Takes ages.
I was going to say, that's like, must be incredibly time consuming.
Wouldn't take ages for us.
We're already coming.
We'll be done in about 5 minutes.
Set it for this video, please.
It's a weekly job for
They'll
money.
find you. The trolls will find you guys. Erim, actually.
God bless those people.
What are your thoughts on, because you've got a YouTube channel too?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
No, I haven't posted in
I
like
was going to say, you haven't posted in
100
like a
years.
year. Yeah, with her. Which is weird, because you got to like 21,000 subs.
In like one day.
But that's because you
Is
have a
it?
big
Yeah.
audience. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
fine.
It was like a rush and then
Yeah.
it just stopped.
Is it a direct repurpose, and do you have any structure for the title and the thumbnails?
Very low effort. It's almost the caption. Like we're
Yeah.
not doing the most with that. No.
Okay,
I feel like
interesting.
you guys probably are doing good on YouTube, right?
We're like heavily focused
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah.
So-
That's where we're over-indexing. Yeah, we feel like a
Okay.
lot of podcasts are kind of covering all angles, like Spotify and everything else. We're like doubling down on YouTube.
Nice.
It's visual over everything, and that's where like everything's headed, which is purely visual.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to say? Yes. Okay. So Twitter. Let's talk about it. What do you think? It's now X.
I stopped using it. I honestly feel like it's the cesspit. Like, I think it's great for the publishing industry. I think it's great for news. But like, I also have the news app on my phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need someone giving me their 2 cents on BBC's newest headline or whatever. I think it's not. I don't think you don't make money off Twitter. I wasn't making money off brand collabs on Twitter, you know.
Well, interestingly enough, as of I think a couple of days ago, there is now a creator feature where you can make money off your account purely by tweeting, because based
is it
on
per impression?
I think it is per impression, and it's yes, I'm pretty sure it's per impression. I don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. I want to touch on Threads, because obviously that's quite a new platform, and as we both know, new platforms, early adopters, that's a really, really big thing. Have you been using Threads?
Like once every 3 days I'll post something. I think it's good to have a presence. I think people are now have all joined. Anyone who's going to join, we had that like gold rush at the beginning.
Yeah.
How many was it? 10 million?
It was like 40 million, I think, wasn't
Was
it?
it 40?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
in the first 24 hours.
Yeah. It was something crazy.
Madness.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Madness.
Like,
But it was like sheep, wasn't it?
yeah.
Like we all wanted
But
to get
they've
the
noticed
lowest.
that the engagement has completely dropped off a cliff off the back of that. Everyone
Yeah.
flocked in,
Yeah.
and then over the last however
Yeah.
many weeks it's been out or whatever, they've all just.
Well,
Yeah.
I felt like I came in on the first day and I didn't really. I was like, well, I didn't connect it to my Instagram because I didn't want to.
Okay.
Which is fair enough. That's my decision. But I was like, I'm tweeting to no one or threading to no one, which I found quite interesting, because obviously a lot of people, they would already be big on Instagram. They'd then connect it to their profile and they would already have like a few thousand followers. They're at least tweeting to people.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a hard thing for them to navigate. I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the thing that most people get wrong with social media?
I think it's just like looking for new followers all the time, because it's very jarring when you follow someone and they're just like constantly just like doing strategies to gain new followers, follow for follow, giveaway, this and that, like reposting people that's just like, it's really irrelevant. I honestly think if you're like stay in your lane. And one of the things that I found has been most beneficial to me is like, I know exactly who my follower is. I can envisage who she is. She is a baby Erim. She is 19 years old. She doesn't have a mum. She doesn't have sisters. She doesn't really know what she's doing, but her dad said that she's allowed to follow this one girl on social media. So she did. And she's waiting for my post every day at like 5, 6 p.m. And she gets to see it and she's happy. She may not exist, but that's who I'm posting towards. And I've completely personified this girl.
How did you deal with the stigmatism attached with kind of a South Asian family in terms of actually building your own business and leaving the kind of corporate world and building out your social media? Because I can imagine, I obviously don't know what your dad's like, but I can imagine it was quite strict on the kind of corporate world and trying to find your feed. But maybe that's the wrong interpretation.
No, like that's probably the most common experience that most people in my generation tend to have. Both my parents were born in London. So I think, is it second generation or third generation?
If both your parents are born in London, then I think
like England.
You'd be second, I think.
Second.
Yeah. I'm that. Okay. So I grew up really English, and I grew up in an area that was really no Asians. It was just me, my brother, and one boy in my entire secondary school who were the only Asians, and it was super diverse. So for me, I didn't really have that cultural pressure. I never felt that. I really didn't get until I went to uni and people started asking what's your last name, because that's indicative of what traditionally is known as your caste, which we shouldn't believe in as Sikhs anyways. And I was like, oh, da-da-da. And then like people would make a judgment off the back of that, be it positive or negative. And I just remember not understanding why they were asking me that. And I was like, what's your last name? And then they tell me as if they were giving me lots of information. And I'd be like, oh, that sounds nice. That's a cool last name. Like, what?
Wow.
Okay.
So I really didn't grow up with that mentality. And to be honest, like a lot of me is grateful. Yes, I missed out. I didn't really learn Punjabi. I would love to learn it. I would love to be taught it at some point. But my mum died. Like we weren't concerned with that. We were concerned with making sure that we were going to school and getting showered, you know?
I lost my dad to cancer as well when I was 18. So I
18.
feel that. Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
I'm sorry for you. I got a bit more time, I suppose. But yeah, life comes. I got a couple rapid fire ones before we kind of round up. But a few sort of 3 last things that I got. So first of all, how frequently do you post on each platform?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Do you worry about oversaturating the audience, lower engagement, people getting annoyed with constantly seeing your stuff on their feed?
No. My content very different every day. And like I said, it's like a story. You're part of, like a lot of people are like, it feels like I'm watching a reality show when I'm on your stories. So the people that like it. And if you don't,
and is that
unfollow.
Love that. And is that on every platform, like TikTok and are you only on TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah.
And is that you post every day on both?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I took a break beginning of this year for 2 weeks and I gained followers.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's
I was
awesome.
like mentally, because 7 years I've been going ham every day.
Yeah.
And that was the first like break I've ever taken. And I was like, what's going to happen?
Wow.
Yeah. And to be honest, like I don't like it when people announce that they're going off. I think just dip. No one really cares.
Yeah,
they noticed when I was
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
but like I didn't say like I'm gone, and I didn't even get that many DMs about it. People just, life goes on, you know. People are busy.
What do you think about pivoting from one category to another? So like if you're maybe categorized as one thing on your label and then maybe you change to another label, you know, is it worth making a new account if, you know, for the followers you've already got, or does it affect engagement or anything?
Yeah, algorithmically it's not the right thing to do. It's really hard to shift because the content that resonated with those. So like the way Instagram works is like it will show your content to your followers for like the first like 10 or 15 minutes. And if it resonates with them, they'll show it to like audiences. But if your content has an expectation, and you guys know Hofstede's 6 cultural dimensions.
I do not.
One of them is uncertainty avoidance. So in countries like in East Asia, they don't like uncertainty. That's why they have all the lineage of the family, blah, blah, blah. But countries like the UK and America, there's a huge uncertainty. We're like desensitized to it.
Yeah.
But most people at base level don't like uncertainty. So you need to reduce that as much as possible. So you need to let people know in your bio, in your name, in your content, what are you signing up for? Because I think nowadays we're all very stingy with who we follow. We have a curated feed page, basically.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you're managing people's expectations, let them know what they're getting. If all of a sudden you fed them bacon for 3 years and all of a sudden you're like, I'm vegan, here's some like collagen gummy bears, they're going to be like, well, I didn't sign up for this. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Algorithmically, I don't think it works. However, as a human, do we change? Do we evolve? Do we grow? Do we change our mind? 100%. And if it makes you happier to do it, do it.
And do you think if in that scenario, if you wanted to change, if let's say you have an account with like a couple thousand followers on it, you're like, I don't want to lose these followers. They're not maybe the most engaged, but they are kind of engaged. Is it better to just make a whole new account and just start from scratch with a new audience? Or is it better to kind of, you've got some friends on there, you've got some followers of your last thing you were doing on there, or just start from scratch fresh?
I think it's a negative assumption to think that every single person that currently follows you is going to hate whatever you're doing. If you built up enough good a relationship with them, they're probably going to follow you regardless. But I think you have to have the mental tolerance to expect people to unfollow you, and that's fine. I don't need people who are really into tech who follow me, because I'm never advertising tech and I don't speak about tech. So it's like, that's fine. You don't need to follow me. Be okay with letting go all versions of yourself almost.
Yeah.
Amazing. Big account, low engagement. What happens if you're someone, maybe you've got like 100k followers, but your engagement's not that much, or maybe your strategy wasn't that good, or for whatever reason you don't have a very engaged audience? What's the solution for that? Because you can't exactly just make a new account, because that's like your whole thing.
For sure. That's hard. I would spend a lot of time getting to know my followers, do polls on your story, speak to the camera, ask people questions, and even allow that to be a form of engagement, but use that to be market research and see what people are liking you for. Like every now and then I'll just like check in. And like I did a TikTok recently and I was like, I just want to ask, be honest, why do you guys follow me? And I actually was surprised that majority of the thing was about fashion, and they like, oh, she's elegant, she's classy. And I was like, okay, cool.
Did you do that as a poll or just a general?
A video, and people commented.
Interesting, okay.
And yes, it's the people that are going to comment They either really love you or really hate you.
Yeah.
But you do kind of get to see like a bit of a gist that's coming through, and then I can double down. Okay, people like the classy outfits that I wear. Let me show more of that to manage that whole uncertainty avoidance side of things.
Amazing.
This all changes,
And the very last thing is, if you had to focus on one platform, so let's say someone was like, I don't want to confuse myself because it can be overwhelming, and then you end up, it's like, I'm going to do this diet, this workout, and start reading for 10 pages a day, and then next thing you do it for 5 days, and then you drop all of it. So let's say someone was like, I'm going to focus on one platform, not to complicate it. What platform would you focus on?
Like, it depends what your goal is. If you're an influencer or if you're a business.
Let's say if you're someone who wants to make content with the goal to sell products eventually.
Honestly, like I think they both offer such different things. I think Instagram is credibility. If you've got 70k on TikTok, that's really actually 7,000 followers. Like, numbers are super inflated. But I think in this day and age, like, TikTok is the place to be. Maybe TikTok, but it's hard to sell things on TikTok. People don't want to buy on TikTok. People are more used to buying via Instagram and ads.
That's true.
That was a whirlwind. That was probably the most chock full value one we've done. That was maybe it's because I'm such a marketing geek, but that was insane. I'm going to genuinely dissect this episode with a fine tooth comb. Before we go, we like to ask everyone the same question at the end of every episode, which is to anyone out there who might be thinking of starting a business or have just started a business, or in this case, maybe a content creation thing, they're looking to be a content creator. If you could give them one piece of practical, actionable advice, what would it be? So as you know, the theme of the show is people who actually, the tangible steps of how you did it.
Yeah.
So not hard work, believe in yourself, manifest, although that stuff is important, something actually actionable that they can take home and do.
Trademark your shit.
Say that again?
Trademark your shit.
Trademark your shit.
Trademark it straight away, because the second it gets good, your packaging, your name, your branding is going to end up on like AliExpress, and they're going to be claiming it. So like, trademark it from the second you come up with it.
Erim, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for giving us the time.
Thank you.
That's your camera over there, camera one. Let people know, where can they find you?
Just search Erim, Erim.
Perfect. I love it. No,
bombshell. I'm like,
she's so
just
concise.
Search my name. Everything else will come up.
You've had
Don't
a
worry
couple
about
like mic drop moments where I should just be like, no. Next question. I love it. Guys, this has been such an amazing episode. As you can see, we've had an amazing time. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to hit subscribe and turn on post notifications. If you want more amazing guests like Erim to come on, we need to keep the subs going up. So please make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought, because we will be in the comments. And if you're on Spotify, Apple, everywhere else, then please review us 5 stars and enjoy it for listening. But for now, thank you so much, Erim. It's been an amazing conversation.
No,
thank you,
guys.
Really
Take care, guys.
Thank you.